Today, Monday the 25th, day 26, week 14, IT Essentials. We talked a little bit about mobile OSs and OSs in general. We did not do this, but students should take the practice exam. WebEx, we did that. Chapter 11 topic in lab, but they may have had a little bit of time to work on that at the end. Talked about weather. If the weather is bad, if school is called off, we may do check your email in the morning. Sometimes if it works out, I'll have a WebEx session in the morning. Talk about some key things and where we're going to go and so forth. The ponds here on campus, careful of the ice. There's a stream that runs through there and some of the ice can be thin. Campus policy, no smoking, tobacco of any sorts on campus, and cats on campus, don't mess with the cats. Those are wild cats, and if you get bit or scratched bad where it breaks the skin, you may have to have, or you probably will have, rabies shots or treatment, whatever they call it. Cyber defense, we're going to get the motels lined up. I'm going to take care of that tomorrow, Tuesday. So you need to let me know how many rooms or what your situation is. Don't be turning work in late. Make sure you're following, when things are due and so forth. Don't assume just because I allowed you to turn in something late previously that that'll continue. And in fact, now that we're into the swing of things, you don't want to be turning anything in late. Also, people who turn in late work tend to not do as well. And it's just a fact. I don't know how else to talk about that. Okay, today we iOS, there's iPads, password was NIAC, you can use those. And if you want to use those during the term, you have to just let me know. Disk management, some students are still a little confused. Disk management, storage, So, magnetic hard drives, solid state hard drives, how do we organize the files on those? We have different terminology, file types, file systems. A lot of this is determined, right? The OS writes the information to the file. Now I talked about I need to upgrade to Windows 10, plus I'm having some issues with my office computer. So what I'm going to request is a 500 gigabit SSD drive that matches. I'll let tech services, they know what my computer is and so forth, that matches my motherboard, right? If I could get one to go in a slot, but I don't think my motherboard's new enough. So we'll order that, and then I will partition that. That makes sense? I will make a 250 gig partition, and that's where I'll install Windows 10, and then I'll install my main apps on the other partition. And then I already have a smaller SSD in the computer, and I'll just convert that over to some other apps, and then I have a terabyte drive that holds data and large files and anything like that. Alright, so next thing, so we're talking about operating systems, software development kits. Those are typically, you can get them to develop apps for Apple or Android. You create an app. This is typically free use of this. The App Store has a walled philosophy, plus iOS is a closed, not an open operating system, where if you're going to put an app there, it's got to be evaluated. So there's the time period to give Apple time to evaluate and make sure it's okay. Whereas Android, you can just put it on Google Play. Now, they evaluate it, but not at the extent as Apple. And then there's some open places for open source where you can just download apps. I would venture to say that could be a little dangerous. If we are trying to understand this, we have some application that communicates with the operating system that tells the hardware what to do. So when you want to save a file, the operating system actually does that. The app can just request the operating system to do that. That's just a good example. We develop source code, like if you're going to develop an app. It gets compiled based on an operating system to an object code, and that gets linked in executable code. This is really important. We can bring in things that have already been developed, fit them into the code we're developing. It makes programming much more feasible to solve bigger tasks. Open source. Open source still has licensing. They have licenses, but typically it's to keep the open source part open and how you would use it. There's typically no fee for open source materials. Closed source, like Apple, you might think of as proprietary, or Windows. Yeah, you can't change that source code or manipulate it. And last thing, we did a WebEx session today, right in the classroom, and so I opened a session on the ClearTouch device and back, and then the students connected to the session either using their phones or computers or laptops or tablets or whatever it was. So we could share screens and audio, and in fact you can actually take over a computer. So if you're a help desk and you need to fix something, you can just take over the computer. Covered this today just in case we have some bad weather coming up. Students might need to connect in using WebEx. That is it for today. Couple reminders. In fact, we'll put those on the note. Oops, let me clear that up. Chapter 1 through 9 final on Wednesday. So there's a practice test you should take. And also chapter 11 materials due tonight. And this is Monday. Okay, this is Monday. And we also did a number of things in chapter 12, and those labs are also due. And then that's it.